Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that might surprise you. There are some absolutely incredible cars out there that you legally cannot own in the United States. We're talking about dream machines, engineering marvels, and some seriously rare vehicles that are completely off-limits to American car enthusiasts. Now, before we jump in, if you're a car lover like me, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our automotive content. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming up on this channel. Alright, let's get into our list of 10 cars that are illegal to own in the US. Starting off at number 10, we have the TVR Speed 12, and this thing is an absolute monster. Built in the late 1990s by British manufacturer TVR, this car was so insane that even its own creator said it was too dangerous to sell to the public. The Speed 12 packed a 7.7-liter V12 engine producing around 800 horsepower, and it weighed next to nothing. We're talking about a power-to-weight ratio that would make modern supercars blush. The car never received proper safety certifications, had no stability control, and basically no driver aids whatsoever. Why is it illegal in the US? Well, it never met federal safety standards, emissions regulations, or crash testing requirements. Only one road-going version was ever made, and it stays in the UK. This is a car that was deemed too wild even for the racetrack, so you can imagine why US regulators weren't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. At number 9, we have a car that's caused more heartbreak for American car enthusiasts than almost any other. Certain model years of the Nissan Skyline GT-R R34. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Thanks to the 25-year import rule, R34s from 1999 are just starting to become legal in 2024, but earlier prototypes and certain special editions still can't be imported. The R34 GT-R became legendary thanks to the Fast and Furious franchise, but its twin-turbo inline-six engine and advanced all-wheel drive system made it a performance icon in its own right. The reason these cars have been illegal boils down to the 25-year rule, which states that vehicles not originally sold in the US market must be at least 25 years old to be imported. This rule was partly influenced by lobbying from manufacturers who didn't want gray-market imports cutting into their sales. The R34 also doesn't meet US safety and emission standards without significant modifications. If you're learning something new here, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. We've got plenty more automotive content coming your way. Number 8 is the original Lotus Elise Series 1, a car that represents everything we love about lightweight, pure driving experiences. This British roadster weighed just over 1,500 pounds and featured a mid-mounted Rover engine. With its bonded aluminum chassis and fiberglass body, it could dance through corners like few other cars on the planet. The Series 1 Elise was produced from 1996 to 2001, and while later versions eventually made it to America, these early models never did. The problem? The Series 1 Elise lacked the necessary airbags, didn't meet US crash safety standards, and had emissions equipment that wasn't compliant with EPA regulations. Lotus decided that federalizing the car would add too much weight and cost, defeating the entire purpose of the Elise's minimalist philosophy. So American enthusiasts were left watching from afar as the rest of the world enjoyed one of the purest sports cars ever made. Coming in at number 7 is the stunning Pagani Zonda, an Italian hypercar that's as much art as it is automobile. Horacio Pagani created something truly special with the Zonda, combining a Mercedes-AMG V12 engine with gorgeous handcrafted bodywork and Formula One-inspired aerodynamics. Each Zonda was essentially a bespoke creation, with production running from 1999 to 2011, and even beyond with special editions. So why can't you own one in the US? The Zonda was never officially imported because Pagani didn't federalize it for the American market. We're talking about missing advanced airbag systems, not meeting specific bumper height requirements, lacking proper side impact protection, and emissions equipment that didn't satisfy EPA standards. There are a handful of Zondas in the US that were imported under show and display exemptions, but these can only be driven 2,500 miles per year. For most enthusiasts, the Zonda remains forbidden fruit. At number 6, we have the noble M600, a British supercar that flies under the radar of most casual car fans, but shouldn't. The M600 is powered by a twin-turbocharged Volvo V8 producing up to 650 horsepower, and it comes with a manual transmission, which is basically unheard of in the modern supercar world. What makes this car special is that it has no traction control, no ABS, and no electronic nannies whatsoever. It's just you, the engine, and the road. The M600 isn't sold in the United States because Noble chose not to go through the expensive and time-consuming process of meeting U.S. safety and emission standards. For a small manufacturer producing limited numbers, federalization costs can be prohibitive. The lack of modern safety equipment like advanced airbags and stability control systems also means it would struggle to pass U.S. regulations. It's a shame because the M600 represents old-school supercar thrills that are disappearing from the automotive landscape. Before we continue with our top 5, if you're enjoying this content and want to see more videos about cars, automotive history, and everything in between, hit that subscribe button. We're working hard to bring you the best car content on YouTube, and your support means everything. Number 5 might surprise you because it's actually an American car, the Vector W8 twin-turbo. This wild supercar was built in the late 1980s and early 1990s by Vector Aeromotive in California, and it looked like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. With its fighter jet-inspired interior, angular styling, and a twin-turbocharged Corvette V8 producing 625 horsepower, the W8 was America's answer to European exotics. So why would an American car be illegal in America? Well, the original W8s were legal, but after the company changed hands and attempted to restart production in the 2000s, new versions were produced that didn't meet updated federal safety standards. Additionally, the company faced legal and financial issues that prevented proper certification. Any W8s that were produced after certain regulatory changes cannot be legally registered for road use in most states without extensive modifications and legal exemptions. At number 4, we have another TVR, the Sagaris, because when the British decide to build something crazy, they really commit. The Sagaris, produced from 2005 to 2006, featured aggressive styling with those iconic side exhaust pipes, a 4.0-liter inline-six engine producing about 400 horsepower, and a curb weight of just 2,200 pounds. This was a car built for maximum driving thrills with minimum compromise. Like most TVRs, the Sagaris never came close to meeting U.S. safety standards. There were no airbags, the structure wasn't designed for U.S. crash tests, emissions weren't EPA compliant, and honestly, TVR's philosophy was fundamentally at odds with American regulations. They built cars for driving purists who wanted raw, unfiltered experiences, not cars that could satisfy federal safety bureaucrats. The result? One of the most exciting British sports cars of the 2000s that Americans can only dream about. Coming in at number 3 is the Koenigsegg Adra, a Swedish hypercar that represents the absolute cutting edge of automotive engineering. The Adra featured a twin-turbo V8 producing anywhere from 900 to over 1,300 horsepower depending on the variant, and it held multiple world speed records during its production run from 2011 to 2018. With carbon fiber construction throughout, active aerodynamics, and mind-bending performance figures, the Adra was one of the most advanced cars ever built. Despite its technological sophistication, the Adra was never federalized for the U.S. market. Koenigsegg produced such low volumes that the cost of meeting U.S. crash testing requirements, getting EPA emission certification, and installing U.S.-spec safety equipment didn't make financial sense. Some customers have tried to import ADRAS under various exemptions, but for the average buyer, even one with several $1 million to spend, the Adra remains off-limits. Later Koenigsegg models like certain versions of the Regera and Jesko have been federalized, showing what's possible when the company commits to the U.S. market. Number 2 might seem like an odd choice compared to the hypercars we've been discussing, but hear me out, the Fiat 500 Abarth 695 Biposto. This tiny Italian hot hatch was a stripped-out, track-focused version of the already sporty Abarth 500. It featured a 1.4-liter turbocharged engine with 190 horsepower, which might not sound like much, but in a car weighing just 2,200 pounds with racing seats, a roll cage, and serious suspension work, it was an absolute weapon on twisty roads. The Biposto was never sold in the US because Fiat Chrysler chose not to federalize this extreme variant. The car lacked certain comfort and safety features that would be expected in the US market, and the modifications needed to make it compliant would have compromised the whole point of the vehicle. While we got the regular Abarth 500 in America, this ultimate version remained a forbidden fruit, showing that even small affordable cars can be victims of import restrictions. Make sure you're subscribed because we're about to reveal our number 1 pick, and it's a controversial one. And finally, at number 1, we have the Morgan Super 3 and similar three-wheeled vehicles. Now, you might be thinking, wait, I've seen three-wheeled vehicles in the US. And you'd be right, but here's the catch. The Morgan Super 3 and many other performance-oriented three-wheelers fall into a regulatory gray area that makes them functionally illegal in most states for road use. The Morgan Super 3 is powered by a Ford 3-cylinder engine producing 118 horsepower, features classic Morgan styling, and delivers a completely unique driving experience. The problem is that in the US, three-wheeled vehicles are often classified as motorcycles, which means they need to meet motorcycle safety standards. But the Super 3 has a car-like seating position, steering wheel, and enclosed cockpit, which means some states require it to meet automotive safety standards instead. It can't meet either standard fully, creating a legal limbo. This regulatory confusion affects numerous exciting three-wheelers, including certain variants of the Campagna TRX, the Polaris Slingshot in some states, and various other vehicles that blur the line between cars and motorcycles. It's a perfect example of how regulations that made sense decades ago haven't kept pace with innovative vehicle designs. And there you have it, 10 incredible cars that are illegal to own in the US. From British roadsters to Swedish hypercars, Italian hot hatches to American supercars, these forbidden vehicles represent everything from raw driving purity to technological excess. If you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next automotive deep dive. Let me know in the comments which of these cars you'd most want to own if you could, and what other illegal cars you think we should have included. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.